Thank you for joining us for another installment of the free FM Academy webinars. I am Tim Enlow, a certified FileMaker developer with Scott Howard Consulting. FM Academy is a consortium of leading FileMaker development companies in the United States. Our purpose is to further educate FileMaker users and developers, to encourage best practices, and foster further adoption of the FileMaker platform. Today's webinar will be led by Scott Howard, who has been developing FileMaker solutions for 23 years. Scott first used FileMaker to help him survive in retail and educational computer sales, but really learned to develop at the Alabama iBank, where he built their iBank management solution. Scott worked with Small Company for 5 years and assisted in their famous design masterclass. Scott Howard Consulting has grown steadily over the years and is a FileMaker Business Alliance member based in Birmingham, Alabama, serving clients in many industries around the United States. We have created desktop, mobile, and web solutions for single users, enterprise-level companies, medical practices, researchers, public utilities, nonprofits, and government. Scott Howard Consulting founded and sponsors the Birmingham FileMaker Developers Group. This presentation will last 30 to 45 minutes, and there will be a question and answer period at the end. Feel free to use the question panel to submit your questions, and we will try to answer as many as possible. If we miss any, we will answer them on the FM Academy website when the video of this presentation is posted. And now I will turn the presentation over to Scott.
Thanks, Tim. I'm kind of amazed that this topic continues to be one of the top topics that we have requested at our FileMaker developer group meetings and by developers who I coach one-on-one with. Sub-summary reports, I think there's a certain abstract quality to them that make them difficult to get your head around. I know that when I was a young developer, it was one of the things that took me a little bit of time, some tinkering, to get my head around so that I could use them. This seminar is really intended to walk you through the basics of understanding the parts of a sub-summary report, sub-summary fields, sub-summary layout parts, so that you can have the skills to build your own and to jump into some of the more advanced approaches to reporting that are out there. There are a ton of great articles and videos on the internet where talented developers demonstrate some advanced ways for getting really robust reporting within FileMaker. FileMaker gives us some amazing tools for reporting, but this webinar really was envisioned for those who are wrestling with understanding the concepts of what a sub-summary report is. You know, as I've developed, I really can't think of more than maybe 2 apps I've ever developed that didn't have some form of reporting. You put your data in, and you want to report on it, you want to analyze it, you want to find something out. You build software so that it can not only store information, but allow you to act on it. And it's that acting on that you need good reports, reports that tell you something. So this webinar is really going to be aimed at the newer user, the newer developer who has not really gotten into sub-summary reports or has banged their head against a wall trying to figure it out, or maybe somebody who's done a few but wants to understand it a little bit deeper. Then at the end, we're going to show a few things that you can do with sub-summary parts once you understand them. I'm going to show especially one solution we built that does some nice, it generates a report that really would only be possible if you use summary parts in some creative ways. But the focus of this webinar is really going to be on walking you through building a basic sub-summary report and then adding a few features. One of the things about reporting is that one of the key things is to ask, what questions do I need to ask of my data and what answers do I want to receive? There's some piece of business logic that I'm following. There's something I want to do with my business, something I want to understand about my business. I want to check its health. I want to stay out of trouble. I want to see how we're growing. I want to reward those who are working hard. And so the first thing you ask when planning reports is, what are the questions that I need to ask of my data? Are our salespeople growing their sales each quarter? Are we running out of parts and need to order today? How many of the test results fell within acceptable tolerances? You also need to ask, who is going to be using this software and what are they wanting to use the information for. If it's to make a determination whether to give a risky treatment to a patient, you really want to make sure that your data is clean and it's been through quality assurance and is giving you the information you need so that you can make that decision. You also need to think through the people who are using it. What access should they have to that data? So security privilege sets and things like that come into play. So one of the things that is very helpful when developing reports, and especially as a developer, the planning for reporting should come at the very beginning of any project. It should be part of the initial planning phase of any new project, because the type of information you need to draw from your solution will sometimes dictate the way you structure your data. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. One of the things that's really helpful is to ask the business owners or managers to sketch up a report that they envision. A lot of times somebody will have a rough vision in their mind of what they want. And so this is a report that we're going to actually build. And it's a simple sales report for a fictitious company that I've created. And we have an app that allows this honey sales company, this bee farm, to sell their honey to local markets and delis and so forth. And so the business owner kind of sketched this up and handed it to me. And basically they want to be able to see how their sales break down by product type. So the name of the company is Deep South Honey. We are here in Birmingham, Alabama, in the frigid Deep South, although not nearly as frigid as some of you all are experiencing. We're just not used to sub-freezing weather here. But Deep South Honey started as a hobby bee farmer, beekeeper, and little by little they generated more volume. They gave it away to neighbors. They gave their honey away to family. Then they started selling it at craft shows and so forth. And as they got into it, they started selling it to local markets, and they've been expanding this, and they kept track of everything in Excel. Well, as a lot of you know who have tried to run businesses or processes in Excel, it's an incredibly powerful tool, but it isn't a database. And so they eventually moved to FileMaker, and then eventually bought a Mac Mini, and they put FileMaker Server on it, and they've got FileMaker Pro on 2 of their laptops, and then their salespeople have iPads. So that's what the scenario is that we're going to be using. So here's a typical list of some of the products that have been ordered. They have clover honey, wildflower honey, they have some lip balm, and as they've grown, they've added some products as well. And so one of the things they've done is they've categorized all their products by what is called, FileMaker calls in the summary reports, a break field. It's the way that we're going to group the information so that we can get a total of all of the sales within that group. And so if we were to break it up, it would look something like this. The honey with all the sales below it, and the health products and all the sales below it. And so this is what we're going to accomplish in our solution. So let's go to the app real quick. And I'm going to pull up, whoops, that's the second one. Like Julia Childs, I have one that's fully baked. So we have this basic app. Let me hide Keynote. And this allows them to keep track of their customers. They can go here and get some basic information. And keep in mind, this is just created for demo purposes. Let's see if we can go to 150%. So that may be too big once we get to the reports. And so you have your detail and your list, and we have orders, and this is all the orders placed over the last few years. And then we have our products. And as you see, we've got some honey, and we've got some honeycomb, and some lip balm, and so forth. So what we want to do is, the question that we posed was, how do our sales break down by type? And so to do that, we want to create something in FileMaker called a sub-summary report. And the easiest way to do this, I'm going to open up the status area, is to just use FileMaker's wizard. Before I do that, though, let me go back and think through where this report needs to reside. So let's go and take a look at a typical order. Okay, so this is an order, and it's on the order table. And then the order table is linked to order items. And that is the thing, these are the things that are purchased, the quantity, how they purchase it, case or each, the unit price, and the extended price. So I'm going to open FileMaker database, and we're going to go to the relationship graph. And as you see, I have this set up as a selector connector, which is some great articles out there. Todd Geist and some others have been promoting this. But we're really concerned with this piece right here. This is a fairly traditional anchor buoy method where our layouts are based on our anchor tables, our customers, our orders, our order items, and our products. Actually, we don't have order items as a layout, but we're about to create one. So we can't base it off of orders because orders don't have products within in the record. The products that are purchased are actually in the related order items, and it's through this relationship right here, which links order items, links products with orders. And you see my convention is my base table has the full name, and then my related child tables have the name of the parent table, and then in title case the name of the child table. So you'll see that as I choose fields later. So what we need to do is to run our report from the order items, because what we're trying to track is how well we're selling products, and product sales are represented by the order item. Let's get out of that. And so we're going to go back into layout mode, and we're going to start our wizard, and we're going to base it on order items. And as you see the way these are listed, the anchor buoy method does, this naming convention allows me to see my base table and then my child table, so order items. And we're going to call this sales report. And we're going to do this and make it as if it were a print report, just be easier to see. And we're going to pick a report. And now we're going to go in here, and this is including subtotals and grand totals, which we want. We'll just leave those checked. And now we need to make a decision of what fields we want to see on our report. And for my items, I want to see the order date, which I have to go to the related order items and then order table to get that field. And then I want to see the product, so I need to go to the related products table, and I have a display name right there. And then I want to show under, go up to the current table, and we want to show the unit that was purchased, the quantity, and the extended price, and that'll be enough. We need to pick the field on which we're going to break apart or group our data. And I didn't put it in here, so I need to put it over here, and that is the product type, and that is in product field, and it's right there. So we can leave it right there. All right, now let's hover over here. Not a very big window. FileMaker doesn't let us see this. It looks like it's not giving me the hover over, but I know that that's the order item. No, actually it isn't. So I'm going to clear that. It's right here because I added it last. So that is the product type, and this is going to show it here. It's going to break it apart and group them. There we go, product type. And I'm going to sort them also. Let's say we want to sort by order date. So we go to our next window, and here is where we decide how we want to total these, whether we want a total of these broken down. And we do. We want to know what our total sales are for honey, for honeycombs, and for health products. We haven't yet defined a table, a summary table. Well, actually I did. I opened. Okay. So what we can do here is I've already set up a summary field, but I'm going to go ahead and set up another one because it looks like I opened up a file where I had already done this. So we name the field right here, and we're going to call it just to name it something different, extended price. And we want the total of the extended price. FileMaker gives us many options. We can get an average of a data field. We can get the count, which will count the number of pieces of data, not summing the values that are in them. We can get a minimum and a maximum, a standard deviation, and a fraction of the total, which we'll use in a little bit. So we're going to get total of, and then there it is. We're going to select it, and that is going to become our summary field. Now we want to add this to our layout, and we want to see a subtotal by the product type. Now we also want to see a grand total, so I'm going to use my new field, and there we go. And I do want to see that at the bottom. The grand total basically shows up at the end of the report or the beginning, or at both, and we just want to see a nice grand total of our found set. And now the wizard now asks us how we want this to look, so we're just going to put some large custom text and call it sales report. And let's just put the page number at the bottom. I think that'll be enough. And let's let it create a script. We'll just call, I'm going to call it a new sales report because I've actually already got one created. Okay, this is what FileMaker gives us now. So what FileMaker has created is a new layout that has several parts to it. It has your traditional header report, which appears at the top of your screen, and it has this part, which is your summary part. And I'm going to open this up so that you can see how it's sorted. And you can see that this part is sorted by the product type. Then we have our body type, which is our order date, our product, the unit, and the quantity, and so forth. And then we also have, we're doing a trailing summary. So it'll show at the end of our list the breakdown. And then we're doing a grand summary at the bottom. So we're going to go into browse mode and see what this looks like. So here it is already sorting by our grouped break field health, and these are all the orders that are health products. So it groups it underneath this subsummary part. And if I want to see how my honeycombs and my honey are doing, I've got to scroll down through all of my items and look for it. I have a lot of products sold here. There we go. Can you all see that? I might have scrolled too fast for the meeting to refresh. Here's the end of the health section and now the honey section, and this shows at the end of the health section it shows a total, and you see this we need to do some formatting. This is what FileMaker gives us free, and it's very useful and it's a good place to start. So I'm going to take us over to a report that I actually already built where I did nothing but change the way these things are ordered. So I'm going to go up here to this report. So now it's a little bit easier to read. It emphasizes the break field, and then underneath it again it has each order, and there is our honey. And then what I've done is I've moved, I didn't want to put my summary amount below the list. I wanted to put it at the top where you see the name. And so I'm going to show you how I did this. So we're going to go and look at the parts and what I did. Back to our original layout. This is our summary field that we created, sum of extended price. And I'm going to kind of get you to where I brought that report before to kind of show you what it looked like. And so I'm just moving this up into the top summary part, and I'm going to delete this bottom one. There we go. And what that will give us, and I'm also going to format these to look a little more like currency, if you don't mind me doing that. I'm just going to tell it it's currency, fixed, and let's use the 1,000 separator. And then we're going to also align it to the right. And then I'm going to make this one and this one bold. Okay, so now we exit. And here we have, if we go to the top, we now have our break field health and the sum of all the sales. And I'm also going to go into layout mode and just get rid of the break field here, because since we're summarizing by it, we don't need it at this point. And there you have it, a little bit neater. But the other question that we had that you kind of saw in that other layout was we also want to see how this breaks down by salesperson. So we're going to add another summary part. And we're going to do this through the layout menu, go to part setup, and we go to create, and we're going to create another sub-summary part, except this time we're going to do it by salesman, and the salesman or salesperson field resides in the orders table. So we go to our related orders table and we choose the salesperson. and we're going to print it above. Okay, so here's our summary part, but we now need the field as well, and I'm just going to duplicate this, or just copy and paste it, move it down here. Whoops. And then I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to place that salesperson field right here, and I'm also going to, I'm just going to use the keyboard shortcut to duplicate my extended price, and it's going to put it down here. Now, one of the things about a summary field, some summary fields, is that they can be repurposed and they can summarize based on different sort orders. What's giving us the breakdown is the fact that we have sorted by our break field, our product type. And I'll show you that in just a second. So as you know, we sorted by the product type. And now if I go in and I sort, not by type, delete that, but by salesperson, all of a sudden, let me go to the top, and oh, it might have gone to the bottom. Oh, you know what? Let me sort again. Okay, this is a good example of how not to do it, because I chose the wrong field. I'm basically displaying a field in the wrong context, and this is very important for sub-summary reports, is you have to remember the context that your report is in. This is based on the order items table, and so I need to be showing the field in the orders table that's related to that. So I need to cancel this. I'm going to go into layout mode, and I do have the definition of this summary part correct, order items to orders, but my field is wrong, and it's customers to orders rather than order items to orders. So there we go, a salesperson. All right, so we're going to save that and go back. Now it should show, now we're going to sort, except we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to sort by the correct one, order items to orders and salesperson. Okay, so good. Okay, so here we are now broken down by Austin, and that same summary field is now showing us a total of Austin's sales. And we scroll down and we see a total of Nicholas's sales. So if we go back, and then if we scroll, let me just show you the very bottom. I'm going to drag over here. The very bottom, and this is the total of all the sales in this found set, which at this point is everything, $82,007. So I'm going to go back to my prettier one where I think it's a little easier to see, and I'm going to go into layout mode. And all I did here was I just took a text block and then colored the background, because in a little bit I'm going to apply some formatting to this. But this also allows, as we saw, it allows me to see a little clearer where the break is between the product or the salesperson. So let me go into browse mode, go back up to the top, and there are Austin's. And then this time we're going to also sort by salesperson and product type. Okay, let's go back to the top. So here are all of Austin's sales for health, but you'll notice that this isn't very helpful because they're kind of at the equal level. We want the one that is the primary break field or the primary grouping, the salesperson, to kind of stand out, and then mute the grouping that's below that, which would be the product type. So what we're going to do, I've actually got one already created that does this right here. And what I've done is I've colored this a little darker, and I've applied some conditional formatting to it. But you know what? I actually skipped ahead. I'm sorry about that, because I wanted to show you something that I did. All right, we've got our report, but I need to put something in place before I can use my conditional formatting. I want the user to be able to choose how this is broken down. So if I want to choose a salesperson to break down by, then they choose that, and it breaks it down. If I want a product type, it does it by product type. And this was really simple. It's just a global field in the order items table called G selected sort 1, and we're going to use a sort 2 in just a second. And then it has a trigger on it. So we're going to go into right click set trigger, and it's an on object modify because I want, when that value is changed, I want to do something with it. I want to call it a script, which simply sorts by either if the selection in that field equals product type, then I want to sort by the product type. And then I added the other one of order date just to make it look neat. And then if it's not product type, it defaults to sorting by salesperson. Very, very simple. And so if we get out of all of this, I'm not going to save it because I haven't made changes, and I just simply pick the one that I want to break it down by. Okay, now that that's in place, we're going to do the same thing with two different summary fields, and that will allow us to sort by salesperson or by product type. And then we can have a secondary, which, since we're sorted by product type, we're going to sort by salesperson. And this is where you see the conditional formatting. And the way that I did that was simply to color it a little bit darker by default. And then I said if my second sort field has product type in it, because this is the sub-summary part that breaks it by the product type, then I want to color my background lighter and my text darker. Now, the actual text formatting I put in these fields rather than on this, but this is a text block. So likewise, this one is the summary part that divides it by salesperson. And I go into my conditional formatting, and it's just the opposite. If my second choice is salesperson, then it gives me a lighter color. And over here, it gives me, if I go here, if the secondary is salesperson, it gives me a darker text. So it gives me dark text against a lighter background. So if we go back to browse mode, this gives me this ability to see two different groupings, a major grouping and a subgrouping, and it allows the user to select that. So I have health, and underneath it I have all of the salespeople's sales for the health products. And then as we go down, we will see the honey products and all the salesmen there. If we want to swap this, and we want to do the secondary as the product type, then here's Austin with his health sales, and then Austin's honey sales, and Austin's honeycomb sales. Okay. As the users have been using this report, though, I'm getting a lot of complaints that they are tired of scrolling through all these order items in order to see the breakdown. So they've asked if they could choose whether to show or hide the breakdown. So this can be done a couple of different ways. And the easy way, it would be to just delete the body part. As you know, a body part is what this entity is, this order item. This is what shows the fields that are local to this order item. And if you have a body part, it's going to show all the time. So unlike summary reports, as you saw, that showed or didn't show based on how the found set was sorted, the body part will show up all the time. So what we could do is we could duplicate the layout, delete the body part, and there we would have only the sub-summary parts. But that would mean maintaining two layouts. So another way to do this is to create kind of a false body part, and it would be to convert the body part into a sub-summary part. And I'm going to just, I've actually done that right here. And I'm going to show you the setup. So you see it's pretty much the same. I've added one element I'll show you. And it was body, but now it's sub-summary. And it is sorting. I'm going to cancel this so I can remember how I sorted it, because I actually ended up having to fix this a little while ago. It has to sort on something that is unique to the order item. And right now I just used the ID field because it's a unique ID. This isn't the ideal way to sort it, because I'm using getUUID, which gives this random string of numbers and letters, and that will sort every which way, and I'll show you that. And then I'm going to talk about a better way to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out because I've already done this. Now let's go here. So, and then what I've done is I've also added a new script that accounts for whether I want to see the detail or not, and I've just added that trigger to the new field. It's just a checkbox. And so I'm going to uncheck and check it to refresh it. So here I have my same report that I had before, Austin's sales for health products, and I see all of the details. But as you see, since I'm sorting by the UUID, it's this random string, I'm getting, the sorting is going all over the place. But here I can uncheck it, and I get this really nice compact report that really could be distributed at a staff meeting, and everybody can go, ooh, we're doing really well, and aren't Sarah's sales increasing over last quarter? So I just can check and uncheck. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to show you the script that we had that just dealt with grouping it by salesperson or product type. If you remember, the first script did nothing but decide whether we had chosen product type or not. And so it sorted by product type or by salesperson. When we added another field to choose, it exponentially increased the number of the logic. So what we had to do is say, okay, it's either product type or salesperson. And if product type, within that, the secondary sort is either salesperson or not. So you see here that I'm sorting by type, by salesperson, and then I actually have the order date, which is okay because I'm really is actually that's superfluous at this point. Well, actually it isn't because that body part is sorting by order date. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead of myself. And then here is just sorting by the type and the date rather than the secondary field. Now, when we move to accommodating the detail, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's doubling every time. So now I'm having to account for product type and salesperson, then within product type salesperson or not salesperson, then within salesperson with show detail or don't show detail. And the show detail, we are sorting by the break field, which is the order item ID. So it's a little more complicated script. And just revert all because I haven't made any changes. Go into layout mode. And so, but it really makes for a nice little report. And we can do the same thing. We can sort by product type only. We can break it down by salesperson, see how each salesperson is selling, and we see that Sarah is pushing the health products pretty heavy, as well as Tim. Nicholas is really having trouble selling honey, and looks like Sarah's got the secret sauce for selling honeycombs. Looks like there's pretty neck and neck between 3 of them for snacks. So anyway, this is just one way that you can give one layout that does an awful lot of things. If you're curious how I did this, I think there are several ways of doing this. I think that the better way would be a dynamic menu that when you choose one of these two, then you would only have a choice of none or the other. But I just added a little script stack that just said if I choose the same thing, it just blanks the second one. So you see if I choose salesperson again, it just blanks it and then sorts it by what's left. Let me see here. We have created a subsummary report. We have broken it down by product type, which is a related field in the product table, and by order salesperson in the orders table. And then we've added some logic to make this more useful for our users. And then we've even added a further thing with which you could call a false body part, which is just a summary part that only appears when we sort by the break field, which here is the ID. And I'm just going to talk real briefly about a better way that you can do this. It was just before this webinar I discovered that I had sorted by the wrong break field and it wasn't showing all of these. A couple things you could do. One is, and this is where planning comes in, this is the kind of thing where you might want to go to your manager or your client and find out, how do you want to see this? It may be that date's not that important to them and they want to see it by product. They may even want another grouping, a third grouping. So I want to group it by wildflower honey, then by whatever, alphabetically. So what you could do is create a field in order items that is sort of a behind the scenes calculation that might equal, let's say, the wildflower, the description here. And normally I wouldn't expose these to the users to edit, but I just took what FileMaker gave me and then reformatted them. So we would do this, and we might create a calculation field that equals this field, and then maybe a dash, and then the order item ID, which is going to be unique. But because each of these represents a single order item record, and they're going to have a unique UUID. So when it sorts, it'll sort this one first. Well, actually, we don't know the order. We may actually put one in here that has the date range. Maybe we have something like the name dash 2015 dash the month number dash the day dash the UUID. And that's a very long string, but we know that it's going to be unique for every order item. We know that it'll sort alphabetically by the product. We may want to do it by the order item. We may want to do it by the date. So that's just one way to do it. I'm going to add that to this file, which I'm going to post when we post the video of this webinar. I'm also going to add an addendum of some issues that it looks like I'm just about running out of time to get to before taking your questions. You can see there's a question area in GoToWebinar, and this is a time that we can take some questions, and then any questions that we don't answer, we will answer those in the blog post on FM Academy website, so you'll be able to go watch the video. So let's see, what are some of your questions? Yes, somebody asked if these would be available. This presentation will be available on video. It usually takes us a week or so to edit them and to get them up on the FM Academy website. Okay, here's one. Is it possible to create a subsummary report where a leading subsummary part is only shown if there is more than one record in that category? This is a long question. Let me read this question and address it in the blog post, just because I don't think I'll have time to think through everything you're asking. The difference between charting and graphing. Oh, let me go back to my presentation real quick, because I did want to talk about other types of reporting that we really don't have time to go into in this short webinar. There are a lot of different types of reports, and I'm going to show you a couple resources that address some of these. We just don't have time to get into them today. But these are very powerful reports, and they can serve a lot of needs that maybe a typical subsummary report doesn't, like a crosstab report, which is a report that looks like a chart that you see where you have a list of product types like our honey and our health products, and then you would see 12 columns with the sales per month and then a final year-to-date column at the end. That is called a crosstab report, and it's a little more complex report, and there's some really good coverage of that in the FileMaker training series. In the advanced series, it shows you how to set up a crosstab report. Charting is another thing that we really didn't have time to get into, but you can create charts from subsummary data, and you can populate charts also using Execute SQL. And you can use virtual lists, and you can create. FileMaker has given us the ability to create some very robust charts. Execute SQL, if any of you have gotten into it, that's a very powerful feature that allows you to put together information from your solution across multiple tables. And then you can create what's called a virtual list, which, if you can imagine, let's just say that you wanted one list that showed line items from multiple tables like orders and customers, all kinds of different ways you could do this that we've done it in different solutions. But also all of these are actually covered in the FTS Advanced. I want to just real quickly, before taking another question, reiterate the key to designing any report is to make sure that you've identified the answer that the business owner or your manager or the person responsible for calling forth this solution, what are they wanting to answer here? What questions are they asking of their data? Then try to get the planning for reporting very early in the development stage. Have people sketch these up. We use whiteboards all the time to think through things like reports. And then look at what those plans and those sketches tell you about the way you need to structure your data. There is so much involved in reporting that we could spend days talking about all the very fine details and some really advanced topics. There's a lot of times you might want to bring, like we may, when this database gets big, let's say we go multinational and we're the biggest honey provider in the world, we may have tens of thousands of orders a month, and by doing a report on a related field, the product type, over into the products table may be way too burdensome. And so what we may want to do is when line items are created, we copy that product type into the order items table. That way, when we sort on it and we summarize by it, FileMaker will do that much quicker. Okay, let's see if we can find another question. We have a lot of questions here. Okay, really good question. So let me get out of this. The question is, are there certain things that look different in preview versus browse mode? And that is an excellent question, and there are some things. A couple things are showing and hiding. If you have, let's just say you have a report that lists a notes field underneath it as one of the pieces of data, and some notes are several paragraphs and some of them are only one line. Well, in browse mode, every body part will be the exact same height, but in preview mode, using, and I'll show you the part, and some probably, if you know to ask that question, you've probably seen this. Let me get my inspector, and over in the position tab, so I can slide up based on all the objects above, and then I can resize the enclosing parts. So what I do is I'm going to show you actually. In fact, let me do that right now. I have a solution that one of our clients, we built an iPad app for. And this company, let me get our developer password. Okay, this is a company that does security audits of banks, and this is all dummy data. And so they go to multiple branches and they'll do these audits, and they'll ask these series of questions. These are the questions, and then they'll fill this out, and then they generate this report. Well, I'm going to pull it up as I'm going to view this report. Okay, here it is in preview mode. So this is the cover of the report, and I'm going to expose this. They normally look at this on an iPad. Actually, they normally, it pulls up a PDF that they can then, using FedEx Office on the iPad, they can send it directly to the nearest FedEx office. So here it is, the STS group out of Huntsville, Alabama. This is their opening page. This is their table of contents. This is the cover page for the 2nd Street branch. And then this is the questions grouped by procedural issues. There are images in here. Some of these, well, here's one with 2 lines. Here's one with 1 line. You can see there's a little more height there. We've also got cash operations, and let me see. And then here's a kind of a summary of their equipment. Okay. And then at the very end of the report is the sign off. And then, oh, actually, it's a sign off for that branch. Each branch signs off, and then here's the cover, the back cover. So I'm going to go into layout mode and show you. Once you get used to what the different layout parts can do, you can use them for some really creative things that are other than reporting. I mean, this technically is a report. It's a report that's printed. It's really the product of their consulting, of auditing banks for their security. So what I have is I have my title header, which will always appear on the first page, but will not appear on subsequent pages. So that is my, in fact, let's go in here and show sample data so you can see. So there is the logo, and then in a very long sub-summary based on the financial institution, which is the brand, which actually is the bank. I have 2 pages here, and one page is their opening page, and the next one is the table of contents. And then we go into a sub-summary by branch. And so this is going to show one of these per branch. And you see there's several sub-summaries. Here it is by the category of the question. This sub-summary is just by the branch, so it's going to show the cover sheet for the branch. And then this is the equipment page. Well, the body are the questions, those individual questions that you saw. Let me go back into preview. And then as you see these questions, that's what the body part is doing. You see there are only 2 images here. Well, I have room for them to show 4 images. And all we do, and this is one of the beauties of hiding calc, is when we hide it and we enclose the part, the part encloses and slides up past that hidden part because that hidden part isn't there. I basically hide it if there's no data in it. Oh, and I got a broken, interesting. It still worked, I guess. Field missing no, it's interesting. It's odd that it still worked. So anyway, I have these parts, and here is the grand trailing summary, which normally would show a total. And then I have a footer, and I have a title footer. This one, the footer, will show the page number, and the title footer does not show a page number, so my last page won't have a page number there. This is just an example of the kind of thing that can be done once you start understanding what each of these layout parts can do. So rather than using them for traditional reporting, we've used them to create a very sophisticated document that then can, PDF. In fact, I'll just show you. If I don't hold the Option key down, this is what it would do on an iPad. It actually will pull up a PDF, which they then, using FedEx Office on the iPad, can send, define the first page as cardstock with vellum binding and so forth. It's really cool. It's kind of something that we get free by developing in FileMaker Go. Okay, I think I over-answered that question. Exports. Yes, that's an issue we will deal with in the answers. So, all right, can you show us the subsummary you used to replace the body part? Yes, I can. You may have asked that before I did that. So this is used to be the body part. If we go to this layout, here it is as a body part. So we go up here, and all we do is we redefine it as a subsummary, and I was sorting it by the order ID. So I just print above, you just basically redefine it. Now it's a subsummary part. That's all I did. I'm going to exit and go to here. So I'll show you it's the exact same thing, subsummary. So all we did is we just converted a body part into a subsummary part. This sample file will be up on the website as well. I'm going to do some more cleanup and add that sorting ability. How did you show the details of the part item showing what it contained and how it was sorted? Is it possible to see the detail of just one category type? I'm not sure I understand the question, but you can make these buttons so they could conceive, like right now I have, this is the order number. We could make these into, in browse mode, these could be buttons that can, when you click on them, they can go to that order. And then if we were to add a navigation feature to our app that allows us to go backwards and forward, I could click on the order, and then there's some really good ones up on Modular FileMaker that allow you to go back and forth. I could go to that order, then hit back, and it would take me right back where I was. I hope that was what you were wanting to know. Date ranges in a subsummary. Where can you put a start and an end date? Okay, this is one thing in my demo file I didn't really flesh out. I'm not sure I will for when I post it, but I didn't really give you an interface for generating this report other than a script, create sales. So you obviously would have to have, I'm navigating this way. I'm just going to my order, and then I go to my order list. We've got to have something to allow people to get the orders. You might have it under, I might compress these into a hamburger menu, that with like 3 lines, you click on it and you can navigate to your customers. I do have this remembering where you were on each of these. So when you go to orders, you know that you were on the detail. I'm going to go to list view. It's just a real simple. It just remembers when I'm in products, what was I in last, what layout. So I would add like a forward and back, and then that way you could, when you're in the report, you could navigate back to a detail order and then back to your report. Okay, we are actually running close to the end, but let me see if I can get another question or two. Conditional formatting to hide the column headers. Yes, actually, that's a good question, because let's just say that, let's see, I think we were on this one. Yes, let's just say that that if we break it down by salesperson, maybe, and this is one of the beauties of this false body part, we could create different sorts to show different information. So if we were broken it down by salesperson, maybe we would want to show different data. If we were broken down by product type, we might want to show the line items differently. So we can create different summary parts. You just have to find a field that you can you can summarize it by that will show every one. So you might have to have two of these calculated break fields that might start with the product name, the date, and some unique ID, and then some other modifier. You'd have to have a different break field. Those are the kind of things that if you have a user group, they're good resources for this. If you want to call one of the FM Academy members or your local consultant, these are the kind of things that we do all the time for clients. But sub-summary reports have a lot more features that can do. Would the trigger fields be efficient if there are many sorting options? I think I answered that by showing you the script. It doesn't show me when these questions came in here, so I'm sorry if some of these were answered later. Yes, I think that if we had more than 3 options here, that script would get a bit unwieldy. I'm sure somebody's figured out a more elegant way of doing that, but that's one way of doing it. Can we use the sub-summary feature in the server side? If yes, how to summarize the data and export to an Excel spreadsheet. We'll deal with that in the blog post after the session. Thank you, a calm speaking voice. I don't know if that was for me or Tim. Okay, exports with summary data, that's an important one we'll answer in the blog post. Okay, the key here seems to be that sub-summary is not shown unless sorted by the associated field. That is absolutely correct. In case I didn't explain that well enough, in order to see the break, I have to be sorted by the field that this part is sorted on. So I'm showing Austin by salesperson right now. So I'm sorted by that. So if I go back into here and let me pull up my sort, and you see that I'm sorted by salesperson, which is the break field, and I'm also sorting by the order item ID to get my false body part. So if I unsort that, it shows nothing because I have nothing but, this is a good thing to show you. Let me go to the report that has a body part, okay? And it's the same table, so the sort is the same. If I unsort, I see all my body parts, I see all my data. Under this false body part, because it's nothing but summary parts, if I'm not sorted by anything, you will not see any part. So I'm going to sort by salesperson first, check and uncheck detail. So let's break it down by product type. Okay. All right, we are coming up on the end. This is actually, y'all have had some great questions, and I'm sorry if I've stumbled around a bit trying to fit in more than I probably should have tried to in this seminar. There's just so much to cover. Somebody asked, did I answer this one? Do you always create interactive reports like these? Yes, I answered the second part of this. Really, this is driven by your users. A good developer always thinks about the user. It's one of the keys to good interaction design. How do people interact with their software? It's part of interface design. How do we present our app so that people can accomplish what they want to accomplish? One of the things that I was playing with this, I realized, we needed something a little more intuitive than this sort button because the user is not going to know to go to these related tables. So that's why I created this with a trigger. And that was just a real simple way of doing it. So it's really driven, a lot of software design is driven by the needs of the user, the capabilities of the user, the goals they want to accomplish while they're in it. That does bring me to another topic. See if I can I keep having to dismiss this GoToMeeting. This is further resources. First of all, most of the topics that I've covered they go into greater depth in the FileMaker training series. You can get the basics for free download, and it's a PDF, and it walks you through the basics of FileMaker. Hopefully most of y'all have been through that. I kind of assumed that level of knowledge. The advanced is available to those who have subscribed to FileMaker Community Developer Subscription. This is $99 a year. You have a very active community of top developers so many people are willing to share their time. And it's a great resource for developers beginning and advanced. I have many clients who also have in-house developers who have benefited greatly from these communities. But you get the FileMaker Training Series Advanced, which includes videos, sample files, and so forth. And there is a really good section on reporting. You will see some of the same things I've covered, but they go into these other things like crosstab reporting and SQL and virtual lists and so forth, and just walk you through how to build these. Another resource is here is the FileMaker Academy, these webinars that we host every month, and this one will disappear when I get the video up and show up in the past webinars. And we have things like visual design for developers, which was an excellent one, done in December, and then some really neat, Matt Navarre shows a really neat method for recent records, and anyway, some top-notch stuff here. A resource that we're putting on, we're co-hosting a 2-day design masterclass. Some of you may have heard of the design masterclass, the 4-day retreat-based that small company out of Miami puts on, and they've put it on all over the world. They just did one in Melbourne, Australia, and we are hosting one in Birmingham. This is unique because it's a 2-day. It really is focused on those who kind of look at the masterclass and think, I would love to be to the point where I could benefit from that, but I just need to know the foundations, the basics. I need to know the key concepts to help me become a better interface interaction designer. And Albert Hiram Alvarez has been developing kind of a lingo to help you think through your approach, not only the way you develop, but what you're developing. So anyway, I don't want to go too much farther on that, but that is something that's available. Oh, and it is coming up. Actually, registration is up to the end of this week, so it's we're keeping the lower rate. It's $9.79 for the 2 days, and it's in Birmingham, Alabama. And you can go to the website designmasterclass.co. I'll put that in the links of the blog too. Okay, I think I am now 1 minute over my time. I thank you very much. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I will try to answer every question in the blog post, which we will try to get up within a week or two. We have to take this video recording and edit it a bit, and then answer the questions and prepare the post. So I hope that will be of value to you. And yes, as one of the persons did ask, you can show it to whoever you want, and you can send the links and so forth. So I've really enjoyed this. Thank you, Tim, for introducing me, for Austin and Sarah on our staff, who helped greatly in getting this ready, and any errors and omissions are my fault entirely. I hope to see you next month as we host another FM Academy webinar, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.